Hey techies, welcome to Elephant Code. If you're new to the channel, do not forget to like, share and subscribe. You're watching a video from the Pyspark playlist. So let's begin.
Welcome back. So today we will be learning about the schema. So schema is something which you are trying to bind while creating the Spark data frame. So it tells what kind of column name would be there, what kind of data type will be there, and what kind of constraint will be there for those attribute in the data frame. For this we will be making use of these two construct, StructType and StructField. Okay, let us go to the practical area where we will do some kind of practical to understand more on this schema. So here I have created one file adding schema to dataframe.py. So here we will try to put our schema code and learn this particular topic. Okay, so now I have one class created, create data frame with schema. Okay, let me create the data first. Self dot data, maybe I can say it as a list, um, list of set, maybe one, mm, Harsha, and then I can have some marks, maybe 100, and then I have one more record, Vikram. I have let me create one more record, 3. Maybe I can give some marks as 99. Okay, so let us have these three record. Okay, now what we need to do is to create a schema. Okay, so for creating the schema, I'll I'll do this way. Self dot schema schema equal to. So I'll say that struct type. Okay, so which I have imported it from Pyspark.sql types. Okay, struct types, and then I'll say this, and inside this I need to put the list of structured field. So I have here 1 2 3 4 different fields in this data. So I can name it as roll number, first name, last name and marks. Okay, so I can just have this, so list of, I'll say that struct field, I'll say first name, and no, I mean the first one is roll number. So I'll say this as roll number. I'll say the data type would be integer type. Sorry. Then whether I want it to be nullable or not, I can set anything. So let's say this. I can copy this one. 2, 3, 4. So I have 4 field. Okay. Now the first name. Then I have marks. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Last name. And this one is my marks. Marks is of integer data type. This is of string data type. The first name is also of string data type. Okay, so now this is my schema ready. So here I will be creating one more method, get data, get df from schema. Okay, so here what I'm trying to do, I'm using Spark session to create the data frame. So I'll say df equal to spark session dot create data frame, and I'll say that data is nothing but myself dot data, and my schema is nothing but self dot schema. Okay, and thereafter I'm returning the data frame. Okay, so now here in the main method, what I will do, I'll create an object, let's say create data frame with schema, and then I'll use this object to call this get data frame from schema, and I'll keep this returned data to a data frame like this. Okay, so now I will do df dot show and execute my code. Okay, that I think it is take, yeah. So now we can see that we have already received the data. Okay, now let me do one thing. Let me print the schema as well. So here I have diff print schema. Okay, so this function will be giving me the schema detail. Okay, now here you see the first one show me the data which are there in the uh, data frame. Now here you see all the headers are appropriately tagged to each data. Okay, whereas the data don't had any kind of header, but in the schema we had defined the headers, I mean the attribute name, and it is properly binded to the data. And when we are doing this print schema, it tells that roll number is nothing but of integer type, first name is of string type, last name is equal to string data type, and marks is equal to integer data. Okay, so this is how we can have this schema binded to the data frame. So let us do a kind of little revision to understand it more perfectly. So here what we have done, the first thing we have done is to import the Spark session, okay, which we use to create the Spark data frame. And then we imported the struct type, struct field, and all those integer which are required to give a data type to each attribute in the Spark data frame. Okay, so for this we had imported all this different struct type, field, integer type, string type from Spark SQL types class. Okay. Okay, then we created a class, and in the class constructor, we define the data. So it is nothing but a list of tuples. Okay, and then we defined a schema. So to define the schema, we make use of struct type and struct field. So my struct type is a kind of, the structure which tells that how many different attributes are there and what is the characteristics of each attributes or fields. Okay, so here we define that this is a kind of field which is having this particular name, it is of this data type, and it is a nullable kind of field. So this is how we defined the schema. Okay, then we created one more method, get data frame from schema. So here we make use of Spark context, and with the help of create data frame method, what we did, we passed the data, okay, in the data parameter, and then in the schema parameter we pass the self.schema. So this schema gets binded to this data to create this Spark data frame. Okay, and then finally what we did, we in the main part we created the object of the class create data frame with schema class, and then we use the object to call the get this particular function, okay, which is creating the data frame by binding the data with the schema. Okay, and then we did df dot show and df dot print schema to see the result and see the schema structure. Okay, so this was our output. So here in the first part we saw all the data which comes in the Spark data frame, and this is what the schema was: roll number, last name, first name, and marks. Okay, so this is how we need to do the schema binding for the set of data which are being used for creating the data frame. Okay. Okay, now it is quiz time. Thank you.
Elephant quiz of the day. In Pyspark, which of the following best describes the purpose of StructType and StructField? Option A. They are used to define the schema for a data frame. Option B. They are used to specify the transformation operations in Spark SQL. Option C. They are used to define user defined functions for data frame operations. And option D, they are used to configure the execution environment for PySpark jobs. Mention your answer in the comment section below. So that is it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Do subscribe Elephant Code for future updates.